I hope everyone had a nice week. Things have gone well for me, and I'm excited to show off this creature using a little thing I drew earlier. Part of that experiment I mentioned in the last video. It's the first step towards something that I'm really looking forward to. Also, I finally figured out what to do about music, so I hope you're enjoying this little piece from the soundtrack of one of my favorite games as a kid. I wonder if anyone will recognize it. Now, let's get to making that monster. Starting out, as I got some really interesting cards, seems like things are going in a pretty freaky direction. Long tongue, gigantic hands, tadpole tail, and strange eyes. Seems like it'll be this kind of aquatic creature, definitely more truly monstrous than the last couple of videos. Though, we're still going for this humanoid direction to help fit the hands and eyes that we got from the deck. Already, we can tell this is a beast that belongs in a cave. Somewhere dark and wet. It's gonna be kind of undead, I think. Maybe something that comes from a horrible curse placed on underground ruins. It could even be the remains of one of the previous residents of a city before it was turned to ruins. You know what? Let's set some lore off of this base idea. The ancient city of Pillardown was known far and wide for its stonemasons, who created beautiful statues, grand architecture, and revolutionary infrastructure. Part of this was because of the wonderful stone and intersecting elemental ley lines. This gave people a supernatural bent toward earth magics and the materials to best make use of those powers. However, when the quarries nearby started to run out, the guilds found a vein underneath the foundations of the city, and they started mining it out, assuring the people and the senate of the town that there was no issue, as they reinforced every single tunnel to prevent collapse. But when pressure came from the higher-ups to grow profits and save gold on steel beams, some foremen of the mining projects found that the only way to keep up with the demands was to spread the reinforcements out. Just a little bit more, maybe a couple inches here, a foot there. They were saving silver, and the guildmasters were pleased. All was fine, of course, until the yearly statuary competition and festival. Pillardown was flooded with people, giant stone statues, and merchants looking for their next big sale. The head guildmaster was about to announce the winner of the contest when the earth all at once opened up into sinkholes across the entire city, burying it all underground. But that was hundreds of years ago, and now a river flows over where the mighty civilization once stood, dampening it, making the once great stone naught but mud. But there are rumors that there may be artifacts in a cave underground. Some of the tunnels may have withstood the collapse, and the water leaking from under the river could have washed away some of the blockages. There are a couple of people who really do wish to see those statues again. People who have a lineage, a connection straight to the artisans and the guildmasters who caused the collapse, though the earth remembers who died in Pillardown. They may still reside underground, not alive, but not truly dead either. And that's where we come in with this creature. So, with that, we're just about ready to start filling out a character sheet. Of course, there hasn't been a standardized character sheet for us to fill out up to this point, but remember that little part of the experiment that I mentioned earlier? Well, here it is, a character card. It even has room for the art when that's finished. Now, to look at the major features for some abilities. First off, those hands are really wild. They're so huge and creepy. They don't really have claws per se, but maybe this creature can reach out and grab you Oh, that would be terrifying. Let's call this ability Snatching Grasp. It could be used to reach out and grab people, bring them in to be vulnerable for the next ability, or even hang off the cavern walls or ceiling. Next, there's the tongue. It's so gross and really drives in how terrifying this creature can be. I like the idea that it has a magical element to it. How about something like Taste the Soul? Basic attacking ability, it just messes with people's spirits rather than their body. Finally, the general biology with the empty eyes and fishy tail. We can also incorporate that little bit into some of the lore to make something interesting. Mudborn Essence. This can be used to denote a whole bunch of things. Their ability to swim or dig through the muck where they're found, or like their undead nature, how they sense their environment despite their apparent blindness, and connections to earth and water. Side note, look up mud skippers for an adorable little freak of nature. They're one of my favorite fish, in close competition with the majestic sea flufflups. All right, let's move on to stats. These are still in flux, but I was able to get 6 slots on the card, so let's go with the classic D&D 5th edition stats for now. Strength, Constitution, Dexterity, Wisdom, Intelligence, and Charisma. And they'll go from -3 to +5, representing the modifiers rather than the actual stat numbers. Starting out, Strength will be a 4 since this is a zombie of some kind, and they'll inherit that unnatural power. Constitution will be the same for the same reason. Dexterity can be a 2 since this creature is better preserved than most zombies and it needs to be able to swim well. It can get a higher dexterity than most versions of the undead. Now, here's where we're gonna start dumping some stats. Intelligence will be at a -3. There is nothing left in its head but the connection to the muck, where it lives and what is contained within. Wisdom can get a +2 because, again, it's closely connected to that natural area in where it's been reborn. And Charisma, that'll get another -3. You wouldn't want to date this thing, and I mean, if you do, I will respect that. But I will also stay very far, far away. Now, for those core phrases. This is a character with a strong historical connection, and I want to bring that to the forefront with some of these. From the mud I came, and to the mud you will go. This goes into that classical zombie aggression while making them act a little differently. The creature would want to drag adventurers into the muck and drown them, rather than just bite their heads and suck out some brains. The lost statues must be protected. I wanted to connect to that art lore from earlier, which would be a major reason for adventurers to go into the tunnels. Also, it could lead to a fun moment where the players could prevent attacks by hiding behind a statue or holding up a smaller one as a shield. Or if the players were to break one, the monsters would go berserk. To forgive is to undermine their memory. These creatures were born out of a completely avoidable disaster caused by negligence and greed. They will not forget the lineage of those who were responsible. This feels like a great way to include an NPC into the narrative. Maybe they're an artisan who wants to study the statues or recover them, but this person keeps getting swarmed immediately upon entering the tunnels because they happen to be a descendant of one of the bosses. And finally, we get to the name. I really like the term Mudborn from that ability earlier, so let's call them Mudborn Ghouls. That also allows for other types of Mudborn for you to make for your table. I hope you enjoy this week's monster. Also, if you made it this far, it seems like you enjoy what I do, so tap that like and subscribe to see me again next week. I've been enjoying these monsters and I really want to expand on it. That experiment I've been mentioning will be announced first here, so keep an eye out for it. With that, let's bring the video to a close. For those of you with dark skies, good night. And if you have bright days, good morning. whatever part of the world you're from, I hope you have a lovely morning, afternoon, evening, and night. Goodbye!